you, man. Welcome to my channel. It's called K9 Legends and Trailblazers, and it's really just highlighting those that I consider legends in this game. K9 is a very small community, and it's a brotherhood like no other. I know Marines have their brotherhood, Army has theirs, Air Force and Navy, but K9 is a little different because it goes across all the branches, and it makes that bond a little bit more special to me. But what I want to talk about is what was Chris doing in 1985, right before Chris went into the Air Force?
Right. Well, first of all, I just want to say it's an honor and a pleasure to be here. Don't feel like a legend by any means. The heavy hitters you've had in here, I cannot touch what they did in their career.
That's not true.
Yeah, that's the way I feel though. I feel more like a fraud most of the time
That's
than I
not
feel.
true.
But 1985, I mean, I just graduated high school earlier that year. I was only 17, 18 years old when I came in the military.
Yeah.
So 1985, November, 18 November 1985. I remember that date because that's the same day Joe Theismann got his leg broke by Lawrence Taylor when I joined. The day I left for the Air Force, and I was a Redskins fan, so I didn't hear about it for weeks.
Right, right.
But yeah, I was 18 years old and just a kid. My dad looked at my last report card, and he denied it to the day he died, but he says, "Well, kid, it's either McDonald's or military."
Right.
Then I had a friend joining the Air Force also, so we did that buddy program.
Okay.
And so yeah, 18 years old, I went to basic training, left home and went to basic training.
So that's 1985, 1986, you go into patrol dog school. And you're the first one that I've talked to that has gone through patrol dog school.
Right.
So this is like the kind of end of an era, right?
Right,
like towards the end of it.
Right.
So tell me about that. Like what made you say, I want to go K9?
Well, it's funny because I was in law enforcement school, and that changed in the Air Force over the years too.
Right.
And we had a recruiter come in. Staff Sergeant English was his name.
Okay.
And he was just telling us about K9. And I was like, sure, I'll stay.
Yeah.
Funny story about that day was I was told earlier that day I had to get a haircut. And I'm sitting in there. It's like 4 o'clock, right? And I'm just worried about that. I'm going to miss the barber shop.
Right.
And I almost walked out that day. I almost walked
out
of that room.
Of K9?
Oh, the room, the interview.
Yeah,
because, of course, you had to, he had to talk to you, then you had to kind of try out,
right.
And I almost walked out to go get a haircut,
right.
because I was in fear that if I didn't get a haircut, I'd be in trouble. And I always asked myself, if I walked out of the room that day, where would I be today?
Right.
Not sitting here with you. That's for
a
sure.
Good question.
Yes. Good question. Yeah. I'd probably be in prison somewhere.
Patrol dog school, all right? They come in, they start recruiting. You're like, yeah, I'll hang out. Patrol dog school was probably at that time ran by some Vietnam veterans. I would assume that those were.
There were some old Army guys. I think one of my instructors was a Staff Sergeant Prouty, I want to say, and I'm sure he was an old Vietnam guy. Being that time.
So when you're in patrol school, it's just patrol? So not like it is now, block 1, block 2.
No, just straight patrol.
So do you remember your first dog you worked on?
It's Shazzy.
Shazzy.
I even got a picture on my phone of me and that dog.
I'm going to post it.
Okay.
I'll
show you.
Yeah. I'll post it too. So what do you remember about this dog?
Not much. I think if I remember anything, she was just a push button dog, and she got me through school.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really remember much from the patrol dog school days.
So from patrol dog school, you go out to the field?
I actually didn't. I actually stayed in the dog training section.
Oh, so
at Lackland.
You just stayed over. Okay.
Right.
So you went to, so what rank were you in?
A1C.
A1C at DTS, pretty much then.
Yeah.
Wow, what a great opportunity.
I trained patrol dogs.
Right, what a great opportunity, because that don't happen anymore. I've seen it a couple times with Navy students, probably 07, 08, but I haven't seen it. So you go from patrol dog school to now you're at training patrol dogs.
Right.
How long did you do that?
About 2 to 3 years. Matter of fact, I didn't train patrol dogs first. The first year, I was working kennel support out at Medina.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, and I was just working 6 to 6 midship, taking care of
the
dogs.
So that's what an A1C is doing after
Right,
patrol.
right.
Yeah,
then I went to patrol dog for about 2 years before I left for Korea.
Okay. And at that time was when you went to Korea, when you got there, you got a new dog, obviously.
Yes.
And for those that may not know, the way the military works is the dog stays at the station. The dog is assigned to that unit. When a new handler comes in, they pick up that dog.
Right.
So how old was this dog that you picked up in Korea?
So the dog's name was Boris, and he was a giant schnauzer.
Wow.
And I want to say probably he was about 3 years old.
So he had been in Korea for a little while.
Yeah.
Maybe he had one handler.
A few handlers, I believe, at the time, yeah.
So tell me about that. Like you've been in that not schoolhouse mode. You went through school and then you were here at 341st, and finally you're getting out to the field, and here it is, a brand new patrol dog that has some seasoned time in Korea. Like, what's that like?
Right.
Trying to make that
The
work.
culture shock for me was I was never really, I didn't work operations for 3 years in the military.
Right.
So when I get out there, I know nothing about anything. I'm this law enforcement trained person that never did law enforcement for
Right.
3 years. So I was behind the power curve when it was came to, the job
Sure.
itself.
Sure.
With a patrol dog, all you really did was walk a post for a shift, pretty much from sunset to sunrise. So anywhere on base with around the what do you call them, the
You do the perimeter, like the
perimeter
perimeter.
stuff, or like
So
the
sentry work.
aircraft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I don't think Kunsan had nukes at the time. I don't think they had nukes at all.
Yeah.
But actually, with the aircraft and the weapons and the MUNS areas and stuff like that, yeah.
Right.
And that's pretty much all I did
So
with
that's
that
what
dog.
you were. Basically a sentry dog
Yeah.
handler. Yeah, a sentry dog
So
handler.
still, I really didn't learn that much
Yeah.
about law
So
enforcement
you
or
still,
anything.
still haven't written a ticket yet.
No,
Not to
no,
this point.
no.
So you're in Korea. How long you stay there? How long are you in Korea?
Oh, a year.
A 1 year,
Yeah.
1 year remote tour, and
hmm
then what's your next assignment after that?
Then I went to Laughlin Air Force Base in
Oh,
Texas.
I did that. Del Rio.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
It was kind of like a overseas tour in the States.
yeah. Kind of.
Yeah,
I mean, literally Mexico, right?
pretty much. Yeah.
And did you stay on a patrol dog, or you switch over to narcotics, or how does that work?
Actually, then I went to detection dog school.
So from Korea, you come back to the 341st.
No, no, I mean, I went to Laughlin first, and they
Oh,
sent me to
I got you. So
detection dog school.
you check in a Laughlin Air Force Base, and
Yes,
then you got to go to detection school, which is 2.5 hours away.
yes,
So you come back here to TDY.
yeah.
How long was the school back then?
About 6 weeks long.
So 6 weeks
Right.
of block 2 or detection.
Yeah.
And at that time, was it like specific to narcotics or explosives or both or
I think it just worked. I think it was a drug dog school, if I
drug
remember
dog?
correctly.
Right.
Yeah.
So you get a new dog. Does this
Yes.
dog go with you
No,
or
no, no, not at all. Remember in the military, they had the bomb dog school,
right?
and you came here and you trained with a dog, and you didn't leave until that dog was certified.
That's right. So
Yeah.
and I think that's probably my confusion.
Yeah.
So you come back, you get the training, you go back to Laughlin, you get assigned what type of dog there? Drug
It
dog?
was a drug dual purpose dog.
Drug dual
Yeah.
purpose.
Yeah.
And Laughlin, if I remember correctly, you probably work some patrol. There's train tracks that run right through
Yeah.
the back of Laughlin Air Force Base.
Absolutely. Yeah. They actually did a train stop at least once or twice a shift to check for illegals.
And go and check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sometimes the train would, the railroad tracks would be on the outside, if you remember correctly.
Right.
Then if they hop the fence,
Right.
then you scoop them up when they jump the fence.
Yep. When I went out there, there's a guy. I think you probably know who he is. You know Ryan Troster.
Mhm.
Troster. So when I got out there as a kennel master, Troster was one of the guys there and squared away. And he's like, yeah, we don't really do much. I'm like, why are we not patrolling out here by these tracks? This is a border town. We're close to the border. And he started pushing patrols out there, and guess what? He started finding people. So, so probably much hasn't changed. It was probably a higher intensity of amount of people coming through when you were there. But
right.
So we're at Laughlin. How long you stay there?
I was there about 4 years.
Oh, so you were there for a while.
Yeah.
What rank when you left? Staff sergeant or
I want to say I was a buck sergeant when I left,
oh,
and I
yeah.
didn't make staff until I went back to Korea.
Yep, I forgot about buck sergeant.
Yeah,
That's right. So a buck sergeant is basically a supervisor, an E4, but it's supervisor, right?
Yeah.
They had the star on the inside.
That's it. You didn't get a money promotion, but you got promoted as now you're a supervisor, as you said.
So like a corporal and a specialist, or specialist and a corporal. Cool. So you leave there and you go back to Korea.
I went to Osan at the time.
Okay, so you've already done Kunsan. Now you got to do the other one.
Right.
So Osan, if I remember, was a little bigger than Kunsan. There was a lot more to do.
Yeah, Kunsan was more remote, and Osan was closer to Seoul and the city and that.
So you go back out there as either a senior airman or a buck sergeant.
Right.
What's the job this time?
I actually became head trainer there. So at Laughlin, I really didn't do much handling with the dog due to they fast tracked me to be a trainer.
Okay.
For the dogs. One of the big things I do remember there, we did train a straight patrol dog into bombs.
Okay.
And I remember when the guys from the 341st, Oscar Clayton, came out and they certified the dog for us.
Yep.
So still learn about law enforcement a little bit, not much for handling a dog. Go to Osan and fast track me pretty much to head trainer there. for the year I was there.
And that's a large group of dogs out there, if I
Yeah, it
remember.
was about 50 dogs at the
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
So wow, yeah. So that's another 1 year remote out there training dogs every day. You got 50 dogs.
Yes.
That's just putting those reps in your hand, right?
Yeah.
That probably attributes to your
Right.
legend status, right?
Well, actually, that's a funny story because I was thinking about this and I really didn't get really going with my canine career as far as good dog training until my 13th year mark. And there's
Oh,
a specific thing that happened to me that just changed my
well,
life.
tell me. We'll
Okay.
circle back
Well,
to Korea later.
yeah, okay. So back in the days, early dog training, it was what I call quite abusive. But before the Gulf War, we were buying dogs that I don't remember ever breaking a dog, even how hard we were on dogs.
Right,
And that's the way I learned how to train dogs. It
right,
was just be hard, be hard, be hard. So it was
right,
all mechanics. There was no art, there was no science to it. Um, Go past the Gulf War when the world's buying dogs, we're not getting these dogs anymore.
right,
And now we're being hard on these dogs. We're breaking them.
right.
And I'm back at Lackland in the pit. It's about 98, 99. And two guys that I believe are legends also, John Skidmore and Rusty Smith, who
Mm-hmm.
are mentors of mine.
Mm-hmm.
Doc Hilliard was there at the time too. That was early in his career with the
Mm-hmm.
341st. And I'm out there banging a dog. And of course, I'm driving the dog up to bite harder, right?
Right.
And the dog ain't releasing. And I'm just banging him. And I remember John Skidmore, Marine, uh, just calmly walking to me. And he looks at me. And I stop what I'm doing. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, what the fuck are you doing? And I was like, I'm trying to get this dog up to sleep. He goes, we had a better way to show you.
Right.
From that point is when you say my legend status started, is
Right.
13 years in. Because before, I was a bum. It's like, I kind of knew what I was doing, but I didn't. I remember a time at Whiteman before I went back to Lackland, that I would look at a dog and go, I don't think this dog would really bite for real, but I couldn't tell you why.
Right.
But I just don't think it would happen.
Right.
And fast forward to Lackland days, and now I'm learning this stuff. Now I know why this dog went in and bit somebody, or I get this now. And this is attributed to all the people that I've met and taught me things in my career. But that moment is my defining moment of when things turned around, and it took 13 years of my career to get there. So then that's when things fast forwarded for me, and then I really
And that
opened up.
learning starts taking place,
Yeah,
right?
and you think early in our career with you, we
Yeah.
didn't have YouTube, we didn't have access to anything to learn. We just
Right.
had the bum who was teaching us.
Right.
That's all I had. And so
Right.
if this guy's teaching me, this is
Right.
all I know.
Right.
I remember a time when I told you I worked at Medina,
Mm-hmm.
kennel support, and there's some bum guy there, some staff sergeant goes, yeah, I'll teach you how to train dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And he never did. But I think back then, if he would have taught me, it's like, well, what would he have taught me?
What
Would have
would
been good? Would have
yeah?
been worthwhile?
How would it turn out?
Yeah. And I was like, so there's not a lot of good things to say my first 13 years.
Right.
So you said that could have when the legend started. No, it wasn't
Yeah.
at all. I really didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah. No, and I don't disagree with you 100%. There is a moment where you say, "Oh, I got it," and my moment was here.
Yeah.
I had good trainer, kennel master in 820th. I had Mike Sylvan. Learned a lot from Mike. He's in a very unique and special way of teaching. Learn some good lessons. But Mike had a lot of faith in me. And as the E4, he would put me in as the trainer over the E5s and over the E6s.
Right.
And he said, you need to go to Lackland. You need to go to DTS. And same thing, man. After a couple trailers and being around really good people, that kind of opened my eyes to different methods. I'm like, okay, I got it.
Yeah.
I'm good now, right?
Right.
But yeah, that's awesome, man. I love that and that's part of why this channel exists. Is there's a lot of really great mentors that we've all had throughout the years that nobody knows their name except this small circle. And K9 is a very sexy career. It's a very hardworking career.
Right.
It's the commitment that you put in as a trainer, as a handler, all that.
Right.
It's every day, right?
Right.
And I really want people to try to understand that, because it's not as simple as you walking out and watching these military dogs, or these government dogs, or these contract or these police dogs,
Right.
and they just do everything because the dog is amazing. The dogs are amazing, but they've been taught that. We do a really good job of honoring the four-legged heroes. We do. I love it, and I love that we do. But we also need to recognize the folks that maintain them, that train them, that gave that dog that confidence and that skill set to to be, a Luca or one of these famous dogs that went over Nemo or
Right.
whoever, right?
I mean, you could even screw up the most trainable dog with
Yes,
poor training.
100%.
Yes.
I had a conversation last night, and I won't say the guy's name because I don't want to put him on blast, but the guy was a mediocre to low end trainer at best at DTS, but in the field, he'd be a good trainer,
Mm-hmm.
right? So my point is even the lower end or the worst trainers that come through the 341st, after 4 years, you've got a lot of tools in your belt,
Absolutely.
right? And you learn so many different methods to manipulate behavior. And it's funny you say about the dogs that you were taught to be just hard on. And Orlando was talking about that last night.
Right.
Orlando was just behind you,
Right.
not too far behind you. And we would build dogs to calm down at that point, and now we're building dogs to calm up. It's just funny how it's flipped, right?
Remember when somebody would say, "Don't piss off my dog because he won't out,"
Right.
but now the roles reversed.
Now,
I want my dog to learn how to out when
right,
he can't think, he
right,
can't control
right,
himself.
right.
I want him to still focus on what I'm doing and
What
saying.
was the word we used to? The wizard, right? The dog's in the wizard. He's on the
Yeah.
ramp and he's rolled back. You're not getting him out. Paul Schaff used to say that all the time. Him and a guy named that's our Romo. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he talked about the wizard all the
Right.
time. So
I
yeah,
never heard it put that way, but I did hear like dogs will go into a zone where they can't, everything shuts
process.
off.
Yes.
And then they don't hear things, they don't see things, they're just in the zone.
Right.
Yeah. And
They're
that's
just
when it's
locked.
really difficult to get them to control themselves.
And we're definitely in a business of not having that kind of dog anymore. And I think a lot of it had to do with the increase in production of dogs for government service, DoD service, law enforcement service after 9/11, right? Before 9/11, and I know you can attest to this, as can I, you might have an 8-dog kennel and 6 of them be drug dogs.
Right. Drug dog was a thing before Gulf War. I mean, people wanted a drug dog more than they wanted a bomb dog.
Right.
And you're right. There were more drug dogs and they were more demanded than the bomb dog.
And now we have more dogs. We talked about like 341st classes doubling in size, going from a max of 12 to a 22. And it's hard to keep up. And I get asked a lot, I talk to a lot of people and they're like, oh, I'm gonna sell dogs to the military. I was like,
how many times have you heard that?
Hey man, listen, okay. It's a lot more work than what you think, right? One, you got to get the right dog. Two, you got to count all the hours that you put into the dog, the killing, the feeding, all this, and you're gonna do all this for $7,500 or whatever the number is these days.
Right.
Like, do the math.
Selling dogs is a tough nut to crack.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have failed and failed miserably. Yeah. You're going to talk to a guy here next, A-Rod, who actually made it work, but there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears with him to get things to work. But now he's highly successful.
Sure.
But he went through a lot to get where he is today.
Yeah, and it's no easy test, and he's like one of maybe 50, right? That had some success in it. I think you're spot on. One thing I always tell people to we buy a lot of dogs from Europe because it's reliable. We can get good dogs from Europe on a regular basis. Once for SSD, Specialized Search Dog, when we started that program, we tried this thing at Lackland. It's called Pet to Patriot. Mm-hmm. And we put it all over the news in San Antonio. Bring your dog. We're going to test your dog. I remember that. We tested like 200 dogs, and I think 2 passed. Right. And 1 failed medical. So 1 dog out of 200. So I was like, let's not do that again. It was a long day of testing, but here we are. So moving on from, I know you went to Korea and then you went to Whiteman.
Whiteman from there, yeah.
So Whiteman is in Missouri?
Yeah.
Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri. Is that a nuke base?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So when you got there, you're already in that trainer kennel master mode? Is that
matter of fact, I took over for the trainer who had left at the time, a guy named Reggie Cook. I don't know if you remember Reggie, yes. So it was the first time I ever met him, and he was there maybe a week and kind of showed me the ropes of what's going on, and he hightailed it out of there. And then I'm the trainer at Whiteman Air Force Base,
Welcome.
Yeah.
So you're at Whiteman. How long are you at Whiteman? How many years?
4 years.
4 years there?
Yes.
And so during that time, what year range was that, Whiteman?
I'd say from 94 to 98.
94, 98.
Yeah.
So still kind of Cold War, a little bit going on with the Balkans. Bosnia,
Yeah,
Hungary, all that kind of.
yeah. We were doing deploying dog teams
Yeah.
over there.
Yep.
Right.
So Tuzla, I think y'all were probably sending folks over to Tuzla Air Base. So that's kind of what that was. And for you guys that don't know, that Bosnia trip, there was a lot of ordnance, right? A lot of landmines, a lot of IEDs. They
Right.
didn't get as much attention as they do today, but there was a lot of work for bomb dogs over there and patrol as well.
Right.
Uh,
I had a cat, Jay Mayfield, his name was, and he got a 1 day notice for a deployment. Like,
really?
yeah, we got to send somebody. I had to tell him you're leaving tomorrow.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah, that was not fun to
So
do.
how'd that go
Yeah,
over?
he took it in stride.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What are you gonna do? You soldier up, right?
yeah.
Soldier up and go. All right. So you're in Whiteman. You do 4 years there. Are you when you leave there? Are you still the trainer? Or have you
Oh, yeah,
gone
pretty much stayed the trainer my 4 years
the
there.
whole time?
Whiteman's kind of a blur as
Yeah.
far as a career because once again, my true canine career didn't start until I came back to DTS right after
So
Whiteman.
that's next. So we
That's
so we
next.
leave from Whiteman. We
Yeah,
come back down here, and that's when it starts. That's when you're out in the pit
right.
cranking on dog. A Marine comes up, said, "Let's find a better
Yes.
way."
When I came back, John Pierce remembered me from the early days, and he wanted to put me on patrol. I mean, I was somewhat a skilled patrol trainer as far as the mechanics and the sleeve work, the outs. Yeah,
Right.
I could do all that. But at the time, could I make this dog a street dog?
Right.
And no, I couldn't. And I didn't learn that for years after I got to Lackland. But that's where it all started. Another moment I had was with Mr. Jack Coleman, and he
I
worked
remember
consignment,
Big
and
Bear.
he'd come out and help us.
Yeah.
So Doc Huey would come out, Jack Coleman would come out, and I said, Jack, I got this dog, and it's really weird. I'm trying to bring civil out because I learned how to bring civil
Mm-hmm.
out by communicating with your eyes and body.
Mm-hmm.
This dog would just stop and just stare at me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're thinking I'm getting to get teeth, I'm going to get slobber, the
Right.
dog's going to be
It's
barking,
gonna
a
come
deep
over the
guttural
wrap.
bark.
Yeah.
He just sit and stare. And before Jack came out, I come in this dog, and the dog bites me in the leg, and I was like, wait a minute, I ain't get no signs that this dog's going to bite.
Right.
So Jack, come out, check this out. He goes, ah. I was like, that's a rare commodity. He said, you got a dog that's full of confidence.
Right.
That he ain't going to show you anything. He's just gonna
bite you.
bite you. And down the road, I met a guy named Kevin Howard, whose family used to own Ray Allen out of Colorado Springs when I was at the Air Force Academy, and he used to help me with seminars back then. And he would say, like, if you were a cop going to a situation, would you be scared of the guy in this corner screaming and yelling and carrying on, or would you be scared of the guy in this corner just staring at you?
Yeah.
And I was like, this guy
The
here has
guy
got it.
staring at
And
him.
so that dog, same thing. He's just staring at me, going,
Right.
bring it on, bring
Right.
it on. Now, as a police dog, you want a dog to be vocal, so because you want the guy to stop what he's doing,
Right.
before you have to bite him.
Right.
But this dog is going to stare, everyone's going to misread that,
Yeah.
like I did. And I got bit in the leg, and it's like Jack told me, goes, that's a dog full of confidence, and he's just going to wait for you to come
That's
in.
a real
And
dog.
that's
Yeah,
a real
that's a
dog.
real dog.
Yeah. And so once again, I learned something from that. And
Right.
then things just stack over the years of me learning just little bits and pieces along the way. And, all these little stacks come together. Then um,
Yeah.
call me a legend, I guess, but I
Well,
don't accept
yeah,
that. But yeah.
you don't have to. I'm gonna label you anyway. And I think that's important for people to know. Because I get the question. They're like, Joe, when you grab the leash, the dog just does what you want. Not necessarily,
Mhm.
right? But it's just repetition, right? It's how many leashes I've had through my hands, and when how many dogs
Right.
you've encountered or
Right.
trained or helped with, and you're just never going to get that until you get the time. You might be a stud at 4 years in the K9. You might be pretty good,
Right.
but once you hit that 15
Right.
year and you've problem solved all levels, up, down, left, right, then I think that's when it really becomes like second nature for you.
Right.
But mechanically, I see a lot of good people that have good mechanics,
Mhm.
but sometimes they don't know why they're doing
Right.
it. Right.
And that was me for years.
Yeah.
And mechanically, I can train a patrol dog, but the art of training didn't come till later in my career. So, and I break it down into three things now: it's mechanics, art, and the science.
Yes.
The art is the dog is going to tell you how it needs to be trained.
Right. 100%.
And so, if you're a mechanical trainer, you're just a one size fits all trainer.
Mm-hmm.
You don't do, I correct you until you do.
Right.
The art is, wait a minute, I saw something in you. I need to change things up a little bit. So
Mm.
I'm not going to be as hard on you as I am on this dog.
Right.
Or you, I'm going to go a different route. I'm going to be more inducive. I'm going to be more pleasant with you
Right.
because you need the help.
Right.
I'm not going to be hard on you. So the mechanical trainer will probably make 1 out of 10 dogs.
Yeah.
The artist trainer, the trainer who trains with art, is going to make 9 out of 10 dogs
Right.
because he's going to focus on what each dog needs. So you can get 10 different dogs. The artist is going to make sure he knows what to do with all 10 dogs.
Sure.
Then, of course, the science of it is, like the
Right.
principles of conditioning we learned over the years. With the classical and operant conditioning, and that another thing is, that came a lot later in my career with the science and making the science work with the dog.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. What I've noticed too is if you really think about the fundamentals of dog training, detection, we're just talking patrol as well. The fundamentals haven't changed much in 30, 40 years. Um, as I went through my career, 12 years in the Air Force, and I went out contracted with K2 for a few years, and then came back into federal service. I noticed a lot of snake oil salesmen with detection methods, right?
Right.
And it blows my mind. And I watch them struggle. I watch them struggle
Right.
continuously. And I look at these dogs and they're so confused and they don't know what to do. And I'm like, well, why not just adapt a method that has worked for DOD, for Homeland Security, for the British, for whoever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, there's different ways to train a dog, a million different ways to train them, but the core, the foundation, the principles, they don't really change that much,
No,
right?
absolutely not.
So
yeah.
I always find it like really ironic, and when people talk to me, I just let them talk, and then I have a conversation with them later and be like, okay, man, but this is probably why you're having these issues,
right?
Because you're on a different spectrum all over every different
absolutely.
dog. So,
I had a guy from Colorado Springs who had a Doberman, and he was a self-made contractor.
right.
This Doberman had like 9 different disciplines, and
Oh yeah.
to be honest with you, you lost me at Doberman.
Right.
But this dog would do bite, drug, bomb, trailing, human remains.
Right.
I mean, and watching this guy, I was like, "You're a mess."
He's a Kong dog, a ball dog, a food reward
I
dog,
was
all
like,
of it. Yeah.
And we didn't train with him
Yeah,
much
no,
because
man.
it's like
And
I don't know what to do with this dog.
and that's what I try to impress on people is that it really hasn't changed much. You have some small variations. I think realistically in detection, the only thing we really trained or changed over the last 30 years was sit, stay, pay, look anywhere you want, defer, final response, focus.
Yeah.
Those are kind of the things. I think we're in a position now with dogs where dogs hunt freely or a lot more freely,
Right.
and then we try to shape that
Absolutely.
behavior.
I'm a
In
big
a
proponent
positive
of
manner.
self-discovery.
Yeah.
And I go back to the wild is, who trained the wolf to catch the rabbit?
That's right.
And and when the wolf doesn't catch the rabbit, he goes hungry. So he's got to teach himself how to be better,
how to hunt,
how to hunt better, how to trail better, how
Right.
to catch the scent better, how to be quieter,
Right.
and be more stealthy.
Right.
And nobody's teaching the wolf that.
Right.
So I like to take the same principle in our training and stay out of the dog's way.
100%.
Because if we become part of the process too much, the dog relies on us.
Yep.
And once the dog starts relying on us, then we're in trouble because then he's going to look.
Then there's
hey,
problems.
Yeah.
And so the last federal agency that I worked for, I'd see that a lot there. We were really good at building a really good dog that could carry a handler.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd see it time after time in my last position, over the region, is that this dog would carry that handler for about a year and a half, and then it falls apart.
Right.
And then when they get reteamed with a new dog, it falls apart. So we're missing something on that education piece with the handlers. We're that follow up, not the basic stuff. We do a good job of teaching the basics, getting them out into the field.
Right.
But I think that continuation training, like that's what we're missing.
Right.
That's what's the hollow part of these handlers progressing more than what they should, or being able to progress their dogs. Right. That dog doesn't ever go up. That dog stays at that level that they came from.
Right.
From that age.
It really starts with somebody taking an interest in their training and doing the right thing. But that person who takes interest, does he really know what he's doing?
Right.
Is it just like me early in my career? I'm just hiding age for you, and if you find him, you find him. If you don't,
right. I don't have a lot of feedback for you, but
let's try it again.
You suck next dog.
I didn't know the check down methods, that I use today.
Right.
I just said, or early in my career where, I search this big warehouse, I have a miss, and the trainer goes, "Oh, you had a miss, let's go to lunch."
Right.
And I'm like, wait a minute, I had a miss. Why? You know, is it my fault? Is it dog's fault? Is it your fault?
Yeah.
You know, help me.
Yeah.
Now let's go to lunch. We'll figure out tomorrow.
Yeah.
And tomorrow I had another miss.
That's a position, and that's a position holder at
Right.
that point, right? And unfortunately we have a lot of those that get into that trainer position, and it's administrative, and they don't want.
How many people did you see make it to trainer and kennel master and just got lazy?
Yeah.
Like I made it, now I ain't got to work anymore.
Probably 75%.
Yeah, and even in federal service we've seen that too.
Yeah.
Where they get this position and then they just
administrative position, and then that's it. Right?
Then they just don't show up anymore.
And that's a good point too. Like I've been discussing that over the last couple of days. It seemed like the course of action for any of these agencies that we work for is you go and you train dogs first. You learn that process.
Yeah.
And then if you're really good, then they want to take you off of that and put you on instructor, right? They want you to be a handler instructor.
Right. They fast track you.
Right.
When you probably shouldn't have been fast tracked.
Yeah, right. So now you're thrown into you're really good at training these dogs. You're not that great at training these students yet. And I think there's still some pros and cons to keeping those separate, both for not only for the trainer, the instructor, but also for that handler. It breaks it up a little different. Like when I went through K9 school, I had different instructors for block 1, different instructors for block 2, and I thought that was good. That was a good. It was a change of pace and got everything moving where it needed to be. But what I worry about with K9 as a whole too is that we move too fast sometimes, and like you said earlier about that, each dog should have an individual pace on how they're learning.
Absolutely.
But yeah, man.
But the thing about the Air Force too is you make a certain rank, then you're out.
Yeah.
So you get good enough to make a difference in that kennel or for the whole program, and then you got to be a flight chief now. So they got rid of people too fast. Yeah. The Army did it right eventually. They went to an MOS where K9, they stayed K9 their whole career.
That's right.
I was fortunate. I stayed K9 my whole career. Yeah. I was I was blessed.
I did too because I got out. The same kind of thing happened to me. So I'm in Del Rio. I'm the kennel master. Mm-hmm. And senior master sergeant comes to me and goes, "Hey, can you pass Army PT test?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, come in." I was like, "I'm hungover." He's like, "Come in and take it." I was like, "All right." So I go, and I'd known this guy from the 820, the square away airborne ranger, so all that, PT stud, not me. I wasn't that guy. But I go and take the test, and he goes, "Hey, you're leaving 2 days. You're going to military police investigation school." I was like, "All right, cool, man." So I go, and look, I got a basic Louisiana education. That school was not easy. All right, there was a lot of math that I'd never seen before. So anyway, I get through the school, I pass, and I come back. And when I get back, I'm like, okay, I'm either going to take over NCOIC of investigations, or I'm going to stay the kennel master. So when I get back, they're like, "Oh, no, you're going to go to S4. You're going to take logistics." I was like, "No, I'm not." "Well, you have to." I'm like, "Okay." So I knew this guy named Chief McCormick over at Randolph, and I worked under him as an E4 in Germany, and I sent him my package. Said, "Hey, I'm applying for Palace Chase." He got out, but I made my own decision on that. Right. I didn't want to leave K9. I didn't want to leave K9. It would have made sense to go to military police investigations because there's an E5 running the shop.
If you had stayed there, where would you have been in your career?
Where would I have been?
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
These are questions to be answered after you die. And
100%.
You can say, okay.
So what happens, Andy Wiltsey somehow finds out through Chief McCormick that I've applied for Palace Chase and calls me at my desk in the kennel and said, "I have a GS9 job for you here at 341st. I'm your guy."
All right, you're out.
So that's, again, that same question, I controlled my fate and stayed K9, right? So yeah, love it. So leave Whiteman, we get to Lackland, we're on patrol side. When did you go over to the instructor side?
I never did. I stayed in patrol for 4 years.
You are a unicorn.
Yes.
Because that normally doesn't happen.
No, once again, John Pierce took care of me. He knew, I guess he saw the asset, when I came in. Put me out there with really good people, and it was the people that I was with who made the difference for me. But, I had to have the want-tos.
Right.
And I wanted to. Going back to Lackland 341st in the 80s, and there was always a guy I wanted to be. And I was like, I want to be that guy. And that guy was Terry Fisher at the time. Terry Fisher is at Auburn now.
Yeah.
But he was the man.
Yeah.
Back in the 80s, Terry Fisher was the man. I was like, I want to be that guy.
Yeah.
Never was that guy. I was kind of just floating, drooling on myself. being canine just to be canine. Hey, I'm canine,
Right.
patches and the
Right. Right.
stupid
Right.
stuff. Come back, and then John Skidmore and Rusty Smith, they're the guys.
Right.
I want to be those guys,
Right.
and I became them because they left about a year after I got there. Then John Pierce put me in charge of patrol out there, like you had said
Right.
earlier. I was at E5 over E6s, E7s
Right.
who are out there. He said, "You're in charge of
And
patrol."
that's the norm. And a lot of
Yeah,
people don't believe me in that. They're like, how in a military organization can you have an E5 in charge of E6, E7? I said, because that's the way it was. It
hmm
wasn't based off your rank, it was based off your skill set.
yeah,
Right.
right.
Yeah.
So I spent a year really learning off them and any other guys we had. Brian Willett was out there. Jerry Wilson was out
Yeah.
there with us, but we had just a great crew of people. Most fun I ever had, and in the military is being out there, but learning every day. Doc Hilliard came out with us every day, and he was the most instrumental in my mechanical training career
Yeah.
that of anybody. I was mechanical leading up to it, but I was more abuse, being
Right.
hard on dogs.
Right.
But now he taught me how to be mechanical with an art.
Right.
And Rusty Smith and John Skidmore, same way, be an artist with it, and teaching this dog, giving this dog what he needs to be trained,
Right.
and to do it with confidence. Not training the dog to do it because he wants to or has to, doing it because he wants to do it.
And training the dog in front of you, not the
Yes.
dog you trained 4 months ago.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
So there, I just kind of I was a sponge from
Yeah.
that point, and I was like, Doc, come out. There's this funny story with Doc because I would always be bothering him, and he had a little white Nissan he drove, packed with his equipment. And I remember one day I said, Doc, I need your help. He hits the gas and takes off, and rocks flying. And I was like, what the
He
fuck?
said, I'm out of here. I'm out of here.
But just the people we had back then was just a great crew of people that were really willing to teach. And
Yeah.
like I said, Jack Coleman and then Doc and Rusty and John were the most instrumental in my time. Then I just started, just picking things up and learning, and then
Right.
seeing what it took to train a street dog.
Right.
And that's where I catapulted from there. Then the seminar started. Then I put together a decoy seminar to help people learn how to catch dogs safely and catch dogs to build their confidence
Right.
versus just to break them down.
Right.
So that's where it all started for me, my 13 year in my career. Not
And
before that, I was just drooling on myself. And
That's
just,
about where your name popped into my
I left
vocabulary.
DTS and you came,
Yeah, shortly
fresh.
after. So yeah, you were still talked about through that. And then of course, I've heard all the war stories when I was in the 820th with Mike and Paul and all those guys that knew you that were there. So so from here, from your 4 years back here, where did you went to Colorado?
Yeah, I went to
next?
Colorado. So
But you were still active duty.
I'm
at
still
that
active
point.
duty. Yeah, we had a chief come in, Chief Riley at
Yep.
the time,
I
and
know.
he was kicking people out.
Right.
He was like, "You've been here too long. You got to go."
Yeah.
That time, the Air Force Academy was putting together a kennel,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a chief there, and I cannot remember his name, but he was actually here and he interviewed me.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember went in, I was dirty, I was just from being patrol, slobbery, and he just interviewed me, and he ended up hiring me to be the
Nice.
kennel master to help build the kennels at the.
So there were no dogs there before.
No dogs at
so
all.
You
Peterson Air Force Base was supporting the Air Force Academy.
I see.
So I started the kennels
So you got to build it from the ground up.
from the ground up. No kennel. Matter of fact, our first kennel was a house, a ranch house that was there prior to the Air Force Academy ever being there that we just borrowed at the time.
Doing CQ overnight, all that.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Yes. Checking on the dogs. The handlers that were working, they checked on the dogs all the time. We didn't have like a hose system to clean it out. We had to go and scrape and mop, or give the dogs, breaks. So we only had 3 dogs at the time.
Right.
But it was still a lot of work at the time. But I was very, once again, blessed and fortunate to get that position. I think one of the things that helped me, because when I was talking to Chief, his name is going to come back to me, Nancy Ori walked in, and she like, "Oops, I'm sorry," and she goes, she knew what was happening, and she goes, "You want to hire him?" And she walked out. And I think that's kind of helped.
Was it the chief that stayed? Did that chief stay here after you left?
You talking about Chief Riley?
No. The chief that.
Oh no, he was actually at the Air Force Academy.
Oh,
he was on Lackland for some reason.
Oh, okay.
And he just wanted to talk to me because my name came up for possible wanting to take over the position. So he came, and I don't even know how it came up that they were building a kennel and they were looking for a kennel master.
Right.
and they wanted to find the right person to put the kennel together, which at that time I knew nothing about putting a kennel together. So Mr. Dave Baffa out of Buckley,
Yeah.
he was the one who really helped me because he's the one who put the plans together to build the kennel. Everything with like the OIs, canine OIs, I borrowed everything from Buckley and just reshaped them to be my own. So he was very instrumental in putting the kennels together at the Air Force Academy.
He also just retired.
Did he? Oh, okay, good for him.
Yeah, he just announced.
Did he take the plane also?
I think so. I think it was September 30th he retired. But all right, so we're there, and then something unique happens at the end of your military career there.
Yes. So I had trouble. I wasn't. I'm not a tester. I'm not a studier. So I'm a E6. The chief there, Chief Bradley Wilson, really loved the kennels, and I mean, I had so good there. My kennels was right next to the squadron, and they never checked on me. They never had to. I always said I could leave for a week, and they wouldn't even know it, which I never did. But because I was always working, going on the weekends, checking on the dogs. But he put me up for step promotion twice, and I didn't get it twice. But he was really looking out for my career, and he knew my 20 years was coming up, and also PCS would be coming up too because I was there before about the 4-year mark. And he says, "Hey, listen, I know you're going to end your career, but I see if you stay in, you may PCS out of here." And he goes, "I'm thinking about turning a CADM position into a kennel master position and making you a civilian kennel master. So is this something you're interested in?" And I was like, to stay in Colorado and keep doing the job I love.
Doing the same job.
I was like, hell yeah. So I retire, and pretty much 12 days later, I came back as a civilian.
And that had not happened before. At least in the
Air Force
that I know of.
Yeah, I'm pretty almost.
You were the first that I had ever heard of or ever known.
My whole career, things have fell in my lap, and I said I am so blessed about things that. I mean, it even gets better after the Air Force Academy. Yeah. But I don't know. I always feel like if you give of yourself and put out and be that person to teach people, I think your name gets spread around. I mean, in canine's a small world, good or bad. Bad, don't hire that guy. Good, hey, you want to look at that guy.
It does come back.
Now you want to talk about, going back to something you're talking about, is even early in my career, I got put into trainer positions when I never should have, and I was no better than the handler. And then you want to talk about putting yourself in bad situations when you and the handler are arguing about something, and I don't know what I'm talking about, right? So that 13-year mark and going on, and I wasn't really never a detection guy. Until within the last maybe 10 years, but I was just a patrol guy, right? I like the bite work, I like the excitement. It was fun, it was exciting, it was sexy. Detection wasn't sexy.
No, it's boring.
Matter of fact, they tried to put me in detection when I was in Lackland from '98 to 2002, and I was like protesting. I was like, no, get me back out. They tried for a minute, then I said, oh, okay, go back out there. We don't hear you crying anymore. We're done with you. But the patrol, and even 27 years of my career was, patrol, tack, and standing today or sitting today, there's no way. I'm in so much pain, and I mean that's probably the cause of all my pain and anxiety today.
And I'll say this: so almost everyone I know that spent a significant time in the 341st in that patrol mindset, they've all had shoulder surgeries, knee surgeries, back surgeries. Poor Orlando walks around like a robot.
His knees are a mess.
His knees are a mess. He's getting ready to have another knee surgery. And that's that toll. And I don't know if you ever got this report, but it was probably my last year or so here, 08, 09. They had come out and did a study on us. And long story short, a lot of guys were going in for surgery, and senior leadership was like, "Oh, why are all these guys having surgery?" So they came out and did like a study on us, and they equated that taking that one hit from that dog every time was about a 20, 25 mile an hour car wreck. And if you imagine, and because you've lived it too, you got somebody that missed work today, and now there's 3 of you with an 18 dog trailer, and you got green dogs. How many hits are you taking that day?
I equated that. I always loved decoying, even from the beginning. Even in the beginning, it was just about the violence. It was fun. It was like, but in the end, it was about developing the dog. But I said I probably took 1,000 hits a year for 27 years. And you think about it, Tiger Woods broke his back by just swinging a golf club. The torque. Think of the torque we took every time a dog hit us. Yeah, so stands the reason why I'm hobbling around, and
Right.
when
You
back's hurting, ankles are
and
hurting.
you and every other old dog trainer. You
Right,
know,
right.
we're all arthritic. You know.
There's a young kid that I work with now named Joey Cruz, and he's 31 but doing detection dogs. And I said,
Yeah.
Joey, you're lucky. I did patrol dogs for another when I was age 31 for another probably 15 years after
Right.
that. I say your body's gonna be fine
Yeah,
when you're my age.
you'll be okay at
Yeah,
60, man.
yeah,
And that's it's so true. As far as that beat down and that just grinding on you constantly. But wouldn't have it any other way, right?
no,
Like
I have no regrets.
no, me
Yeah,
either, man. So for me, patrol wise, I looked at there were a couple guys that I looked at. Shane Green was one of them. I don't know if you remember Shane. He was a Marine. He was probably here right before you left. But
okay,
one of the most phenomenal decoys I had ever observed and
right,
worked with. And I got to go on a buy trip with him to Europe. And even in those small amounts of bite release, bite choke off, whatever the case
right.
for the buy trip, he taught me so much about reading the dog and patrol that it stuck with me forever. And I would say detection went more for me because I always got put into those roles that SSD or the IDD or so I stayed along those lines. But Shane Green was one that I looked at and said that's the guy I want to be like.
There you go.
That's the
There's always
guy.
that guy.
That's
Yeah,
the guy that I want. And Chris Knight was another one.
yeah.
I was like, that's the guy I want to be like. I want to work dogs and understand dogs like them. And you watch those guys with their dogs. They're not over there cranking them. They're not over there beating them down. They're talking to their dogs, man.
Well,
They're saying weird stuff in this dog's ear. And I'm like, what is he saying? Like, let me figure this out. But I learned a lot from those guys. Those were my mentors, and it wasn't like they were like these old guys. They were maybe one rank above me at the
mhm,
time, or same rank as me.
right.
So I, again, man, such a if anybody in the military, anybody that's in the military working dog program, if you can get the 341st, go. Get there, go as fast as you can, and stay as long as you can. Because the knowledge you're going to take from that and what you're going to build the rest of your career off of that is phenomenal.
You're gonna get the reps you need to be a good dog
100%.
trainer. Yeah.
100%. Federal service, we have a schoolhouse here in San Antonio for federal service, and those reps come in detection.
Right.
And same thing, if you're in federal service and you're trying to learn more, get more, like get down here to Lackland Air Force Base, and you'll learn. There's no other choice but to learn. Even the worst trainer is going to be a good trainer in the field. But all right, so we're in Colorado. We're a GS employee. Life is good, right?
Life's good.
Just retired. Now I got my civilian job. Let me do another
Yes.
30, right?
Yes, I'm out there hiking mountains. Caught up with an old friend that I knew in Missouri.
Yeah.
Whiteman, Missouri is pretty much in the middle of nowhere. Knob
Right.
Missouri. I
Yeah.
lived in a town called Marshall, Missouri, and I had a good friend named Armando that lived in Marshall. He was going to the college out there.
Right.
Um, so he got me into powerlifting at the time.
Right.
Something else that broke me.
Yeah.
But still, no regrets. I became a good mediocre powerlifter.
Right.
I come to San Antonio. Him and his girlfriend moved to Colorado, Woodland Park.
Okay.
I moved to Colorado Springs. Him and I meet up again, and he's in the hiking mountains. So I got into hiking 14ers with him. 14ers being mountains 14,000 feet or above.
Okay.
There's about 50 something 14ers in Colorado. I was 9 short of finishing them all.
Oh wow.
And I did 73 14ers total.
Jeez.
Yeah, so that he got me into hiking and outdoorsy, and to this day I'm still,
Right.
we went camping last weekend and try to do a few hikes. My ankles don't allow it too much anymore, but
Right.
hiking is just the way to get away from it all.
It is, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Remember the days where dog training stuck with you 24/7? You cannot, like Ruben Pena
Just
still probably
wake
does
up
it to this day, right?
thinking about it.
Ruben
Yeah.
Pena is always online doing something.
Yeah.
I've learned the art of just shut it off.
Yes.
That when I leave the gate every day from work, that I don't think about dogs until I come back.
That's good.
Good, bad, or indifferent at work. I did have a day a few weeks ago where we had a bad day, and that was on a Friday of all things, so all weekend it stuck with me. And I was like, "This ain't what I do.
This is not my
This
MO.
is
Yeah.
I said I need to shut it off, and then
Yeah.
for that was kind of a rare occurrence. But now I can just shut it off, and if I have a bad day,
Right.
I just say, hey, listen, one bad day doesn't make dog training. Now, if you have a lot of bad days in a row, there's something wrong.
Something
But
wrong.
you're always gonna have a bad day in there.
Sure.
Yeah. So
Sure.
anyhow, yeah, just finish off. But anyhow, yeah, I met up with Armando, and he got me into the outdoorsy stuff and hiking. So Colorado was just wonderful for me. I spent about 12 years there total.
And then from there, you went out. You went out away from GS employment, and then you went out, I guess, on your own, kind
Yeah,
of,
well,
right?
not really. A tragedy happened in my life where I lost my wife to cancer.
Yeah, I heard about it.
Yeah,
Sorry,
so
man.
it was about 2004. I just resigned.
Yeah.
Hindsight, I go, should I just, because, in the federal service, you can just take a leave of absence
Right.
and just, they'll keep your position for
Right.
you. But at that time, I was like, she wanted to go back to Missouri.
Yeah.
And I said, I got to go.
Right.
And I said, I just resigned and I went. And, at that time, I had lost my home, lost my wife, lost my family, lost my career.
Wow.
And, I was like, I thought I hit rock bottom. Rock
Right.
bottom been happening for another.
Right.
Yeah, there's another rock bottom coming.
After that, yeah.
So I just left canine. I just left it all,
Yeah.
and I just was focused on being with her
Right.
last days.
Right.
When I left, I think I left in December. Spent last Christmas with her. Then in January of 2004, she passed away. So here I am in Missouri with nothing.
Right.
And I was like, what am I going to do? So I had started applying for some jobs. SOC,
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Secure Our Country, a contractor being one of them, and
Mm-hmm.
they actually offered me a position to be a kennel master in Baghdad.
Okay.
Didn't take it eventually because number one, well, something else came up at the time. But then I had said, I my son's only 10 years old. He lost his mom, and now I'm going to leave him. But fast forward, AM-K9, that's when things started moving up again. So I was like, I've been so blessed,
Yeah.
because once again, I had nothing to do. I didn't know where I was going to go. I'm
Right.
in New Mexico. I hated leaving New Mexico because I loved Ruidoso, New Mexico.
Yeah.
It was just a cool town.
Yeah.
So anyhow, me and my son packed up and then moved to Alabama.
Nice. So AMK9, how long did you stay with them?
A year.
A year.
About the year point, Doc Hilliard called from the 341st, and he said there was a position open in evaluations. Evaluations was under his belt at the time.
Yeah, I didn't know you went back and did that.
I did that. Yeah, I did that
cool.
for about from 2016 to 2019.
Okay. So was Jimmy with you? Jimmy Dalton? Or
No,
you
he was
replaced him?
he was with the Federal Service.
Oh, okay.
Yes, him and I actually swapped.
Okay.
So
I
now
understand.
he's with
Yeah.
the 341st, and of course
Yeah,
I am where
I
I am now.
Okay.
Yeah. Now AM-K9, everything started picking up. Another good mentor of mine, a guy named Paul Urquhart.
He's a Upwater master.
Yeah. I talked to him recently. I at the Super Bowl. You had the guy. No, we didn't have the. I don't know if you were affiliated with the guys at the Chiefs football stadium. There was 3D K9. 3D K9. You had nothing to do with him, right?
Yeah, no.
But he had known Paul Urquhart, and of course I talked to him on the phone for a little bit, because I hadn't talked to him for years. But Paul kind of got me going back in my career, because now things, were structured training again.
Right.
I always heard about NORT cert, National Order Recognition Test, and I never did it. And I always had said to myself, how hard can it be?
Right.
I'll go back to the Air Force Academy, and a lady came from the Department of, not Justice, but Treasury. They had a dog program. And we were in this empty NCO club at the Air Force Academy, and there was a room just filled with chairs. And the dog was scared shitless to go in there. And I was like, who certified this dog? Or it's like, you actually worked the streets of Denver?
Right.
She goes, I did the NORT test. And she explained what the NORT test was, and I was like, how hard can that be?
Right.
And boy, was I wrong.
Yeah. I've taken it.
Was I wrong?
It's tough, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, it's just odor in a can?
Yeah.
And I was like, until I got there, and I was like, oh, hell, I know what she's talking about now.
There's a lot of cans in a circle right now.
It was funny. One of the hard things to do in your career is tell people that their dogs aren't good.
Right.
And it's so hard to tell. And I had to tell this lady, you might want to get another dog, because your dog's not that good. It's got environmental issues. And she just starts bawling.
Oh.
She calls her vendor friend who sold her dog, and the guy goes, that guy's crazy. He don't know what he's talking about.
Right.
So fast forward a couple of years, she comes back with another dog. I think she may have helped me at the Air Force Academy football game. And I was like, hey, what happened to your other dog? And she goes, we had to eliminate it because of environmental issues. And I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that."
Yeah,
Yeah, but her other dog, this dog's good. So,
yeah,
but it's hard to tell people that because you got
yeah.
to be honest with people
Especially when
sometimes.
you're dealing with like very small agencies that have like a one dog or two dog setup. There's a federal service, I won't
Yeah,
mention their name, but I all the time I'm like, oh, that dog is terrible, and they're not set up for success because they don't have that support element. They don't have trainers. They don't have someone out setting up training for them. A lot of times they're out doing it themselves, and you and I both know that's a disaster waiting to
yeah,
happen when you're having to set up for
right.
yourself. So yeah, most definitely. Um, so you get back down. You're in evaluations, back evaluating DoD dogs, right?
Right, right.
So
After
yeah,
MK9.
patrol and explosives.
Hmm.
Um, and that yeah, I did that for a little while when I was active duty.
Right.
Me and Steve Lopez, they pulled us out of DTS or Hamilton, wherever we were at the time. They pulled us out and they put us over in evals.
Hmm.
I got attached to Ed Hart,
Uh-huh.
and Steve got attached to OC. So
Uh-huh.
we did that for about 6 months, but I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed doing evals.
Right.
But so doing evals, do that. How long was that gig?
I was there for 3 years. Now, when I had got to the 341st, I was like I said, evals was under Doc Hilliard, and
Right,
then um, DTS at the time was suffering because they were behind in their TDR.
the
What's it called?
production. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they had asked me to go help them out.
Mm-hmm.
So at the time, I had learned an awesome technique called the Croyer method from Rudy Hernandez and
Oh
Rene
yeah,
Torres,
yeah, yeah.
and I thought it was wonderful. And matter of fact, I'm using it to this day with dogs that struggle with some issues.
So you're in evals, evaluating patrol detection, um, but you've also because they're behind on their TDR, their production for the
Right.
year. You're out now assisting with
They
some
signed me,
patrol,
yeah,
right?
signed me out. Actually, it was a detection.
And you
Uh,
had mentioned two names that they have a method. One, Rudy Hernandez, which I
yes,
haven't heard that name in a long time.
yes. Then Rene Torres.
Really good patrol, and Rene Torres.
Yeah,
What do
so
you?
they showed me this method called the Croyer method. It's just a two-hole box,
Mm-hmm,
but it's the way to shape the response behavior
mm-hmm.
first.
Right,
Number one is, hey, you stick your nose in the hole, you get a ball.
right,
You've got odor in the box, but odor isn't the priority at the point. You just
right.
stick your nose in, you get a ball.
So we're
Stick your nose in, you
pairing.
get a ball. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
pairing. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
put your nose in, you get a ball. Then we can easily shape the behavior because we know down the road that we're doing everything, reverse engineering, getting a lock first. But sometimes you get that lock first, it's hard to get that sit.
Right.
With the Croyer method, you're shaping the behavior of the response on the odor
Okay.
first. Then you go to discrimination
So
after.
you're pre-training the sit. You're teaching the dog
Yeah,
to
and it's
offer versus
yeah, it offers. It'll down. If you put the box on the ground,
right.
most likely they're going to down. If they don't down, then they had like a plexiglass, large plexiglass that you could put over the box. Then the dog would go under it, down. Then you could feed them.
Right.
Then you can start working on your duration of the response.
Mm-hmm.
Then of course, then go to discrimination after that.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just a super easy way to teach a response with dogs that are stubborn.
Right.
And with the GSPs,
Yes.
they can be stubborn.
100%.
And this Croyer method is beautiful.
Nice.
And they had taught me, so I had adopted it and I was teaching it to the DoD at the time. They had broke detection off into 3 phases where they had the initial phase, the middle phase, and the advanced phase.
Mm-hmm.
So I was taking the initial, just teaching the response and teaching the discrimination on the boxes.
Right.
Then from that point, they went to the intermediate phase. Then they started teaching them all the areas.
Introducing areas and
Yes.
odors, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Then,
polishing them.
yes, and at the end, of course, getting ready for certification.
So nice.
But I had found that what an easy way to teach a response without having to force the dog to do it.
Right.
Especially when it comes to young sporting breed dog.
Right. Yeah, I had some experience in that. We called it something different,
Right.
but with Paul Bunker, when Paul Bunker came over to Specialized Search Dog, nobody wanted to work with him. They're like, I'm not working with this British guy. I was like, that guy's been training dogs off leash for 20 years. Come with me, sir. I'll learn on you.
Right
And I
on.
did. And kind of the same thing, making a dog offer the behavior freely versus forcing it.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm a firm believer in that. That dog will make that decision more accurately and quicker if it's their decision versus cranking. So yeah,
Right.
good point, man.
Right.
I love that. Yeah.
A lot of times with the GSPs, you just touch them, and they're and they can't control themselves.
Right.
They could have a overactive social,
Right.
or just be freaking out because they're being touched. They don't like being touched.
Right.
what a way to get them just to, like you said, freely offer a response,
Mm-hmm.
and without me ever having to do anything.
Right.
Just to be consistent with putting a ball through the box. Now the trick is, because you're part of the process at 1st.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how do I get
How to
myself
get
away
stuff
from the
out
box?
away from the box.
So the end goal is for the pretty much the handler to walk the dog up. Dog puts his nose in the hole, downs, and we can pay from over the head. That's a whole thing to get back there.
Right.
You know, take the third party away.
Right.
And then we don't need to get into that now. But
Yeah. No, it's okay. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a method I still utilize to this day. You know, on the Saints games, I picked up this job working for the Saints after I retired, and I supervise a garage. It's an entry garage.
Mhm.
It's a vehicle checkpoint,
Yeah.
basically. And I do a lot of the same thing. I'm teaching a handler that's been a handler 2 months how to third party pay while we're doing it, how to get to redirect the dog back into the folks instead of looking at you and doing all those type of things. And it goes back to that the same fundamental
Right.
concept. Jason Law is really good at building that. Him and Renee worked together for quite a while.
Okay.
So, you know, Jason is actually really good at that. When we came in, we did the OQC course. I don't know if you were quite here yet. When me and Pat Yeoman came from the field, from being regional K9 trainers to down here 9 months TDY, when we took those dogs through initial training, that's the exact method we used.
Okay.
Exact same. So
yeah, it's so simple. Like I said, the trick is take that third party away.
Yeah.
But you know, like anything, it's not to be rushed.
Right.
Patience.
Right.
Patience. I always tell myself, if I ever go home feeling like a fraud, it's because I lacked patience that day.
Right.
And I trained outside of myself.
Yeah.
And I was like, I gotta have patience. Some dogs are just slow.
Yeah.
You know, you see all these other dogs learning, ABCD, right?
Right.
I'm still on 8.2.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was like, it's okay,
And that's
because
okay.
this dog needs this.
Right.
And I just got to slow down.
Well, we're in the business of making what we have, right?
Yeah.
Somewhere, whether we're with a police department, a federal agency, DOD, somebody's paid for this dog.
Yes.
All right, there's money spent on this dog. So we as trainers should give every effort, absolute every effort that we have to try to make that, because otherwise we're just throwing money away.
Right. You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
The taxpayer spends a lot of money for these dogs.
Yeah.
I have to do my due diligence to
Right.
make sure this dog gets made. Are there reasons the dogs won't be made? Absolutely.
Right.
But I'm going to exhaust everything I have in my bag of tricks in my wheelhouse
Right.
to make sure that if this dog can be made or not.
Right. And then you balance that between making sure we're effective and efficient, right?
Right.
Is this an effective dog that I feel comfortable putting out into a scenario where lives are at stake? Am I comfortable? You know, you have to take that balance and do your own self, like risk mitigation. Right? Like, can this dog be built? Am I sending it to the right location?
Right.
Is this location going to progress with this dog? Or
Right.
is this location, we're going to get this dog back in 3 months?
Right.
Right.
I mean, how many times in our world that we've seen a dog get sent to the wrong place?
Yes.
And there ain't nothing we can do about it.
No.
You know, there's nobody saying, I try to do that now is not teaming the dog with the right person, but sending the dog to the right location.
With the right trainer, with the right support.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I can teach somebody how to handle a dog.
Right.
That's not the hard part. But the hard part is if that is the wrong fit for the location,
right,
then you're going to have problems.
Right? I mean, the federal agency that works here at Lackland Air Force Base, they do a really good job of getting students through the course.
Yes.
Right. And there's a lot of assistance that goes on. And I saw that most recently, a handler that graduated top dog didn't make it in the field.
Right.
And I was like, how?
Mm-hmm.
But when you dissect it and you go back and you think about how the instruction was given, maybe those instructors were helping too much.
Right.
You know, not putting that handler in that situation where they have to make a decision. Or yes, go.
Yeah.
Like,
it's too much. Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes you just got to stay out of it and see what the person does, how the person reacts.
Right.
In search and rescue that I do here in San Antonio, I stay out of it as much as I can, and I want to see how the handler is reading their dog.
Right.
If the handler is reading all the negatives correctly, if the handler is reading if the dog is on trail, then actually marking those good behaviors and not jumping in and helping them every time. Because once again, if I become part of the process, they're going to be looking at me. Hey, am I doing the right thing?
Now the dog needs assistance.
Yes.
versus
Or
making a
you need
decision.
assistance from me to give
Right.
your dog assistance, and
Right.
it's just a big mess. So I'll stay out of it as long as I can, and then I'll say, okay, I want to see what you do because you have to work this dog, you have to handle this dog, you got to read these behaviors.
So I want to go into SAR. I've been waiting to talk about
All right,
SAR.
we're here.
So we man, what it's a little wild. We were talking about some standards earlier with another guy I was talking to, and he said he was a part of SAR with Orlando for about 5 years. And he said he really enjoyed it. He really liked it. He said,
Yes.
but like with anything that is not regulated, you really don't know what you're getting when you have a disaster. Like we recently had the flooding. So all of a sudden, I know there's probably 100 SAR teams just in the San Antonio area. Right. They're everywhere, right?
I heard this crazy story about that my team had run into a lady out there in shorts, after all the destruction, after all the debris, with 3 dogs off leash. And the story is that the day before, she had got some training aid to train her dogs on one day to go out on her own to find lost kids.
Right.
And I was like, it's commendable, but it's also dangerous.
It's also very dangerous.
Yes. Right. And what if she had missed a kid that
right.
was still alive?
And that's what I'd heard. I'd heard there was a lot of that going on. And this other guy that's in our world, he and his partner, they had to go back and research a lot of that stuff. So
we were people were just all over each other.
Yeah, we were talking about regulations, like how do you regulate it to a standard? And there is a federal standard that's being adopted, right. But how do you make compliance?
Unfortunately, I'm not part of the operational part of the training. I'm just a trainer, weekend trainer who helps the trailing dogs.
Right.
So I can't really get too much operations.
No doubt. But I just think, regardless of all that, what an amazing bunch of people that are volunteering their time, their energy, their funding, their gas, to go out here and be a part of something bigger than themselves to help in time of need. And we have more natural disasters now than we've ever had. And, unfortunately, Texas recently got hit with the floods, and we see it all over the world. But I always reach out to Orlando when I hear about something happening, and from a top level DHS level, I was asked that question, it was maybe a year ago. They're like, does anybody have SAR dogs doing this and this and this? And I call Orlando, and he knows. Yeah, they got 4 teams going out there, 3 teams going out there. So it's amazing that is starting to get more attention. Those types of dogs, that type of training is starting to get a lot more attention than what it has in the past. And I'm happy for that. I just hope that they can figure out how to regulate it to a sense to where we don't have somebody that trained a dog for a day out there saying this area is clear.
Right? Yeah, and there's got to be a regulation. You got to have maybe a national cert standard,
or even
to be out there,
state standard,
something. If you're out there, hey, show me your certification, right. Or which our teams do an annual cert. As far as
and I know in the state of Texas, like you're allowed to have body parts, right?
Yes,
for training. Not necessarily in other states. You may have to have pork or pig or whatever the case. So that's good. Texas is always leading the way.
Which causes a problem because their dogs are trained to ignore animals. Yeah. And if you're training with animals, then most likely you might be finding animals out there instead of humans. Right. So that could be an issue. Yeah.
Well, cool, man. Well, that's all I got for you, man. I appreciate you so much, brother.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being a part of this, and I hope every one of you get the opportunity to spend some time with somebody like Chris Jakubin over your K9 career. You are a legend, whether you know it or not. I don't care.
Well, thank you.
You're going on. I have two categories for us: legends and trailblazers. You are the legend.
Well, thank you.
But I appreciate you, brother.
All right.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.